Bonjour, this is Madame Veneman, and in this video, we are going to talk about how I use Google Classroom in my classes at school, okay? So to start off with, I wanna say that this is an old Google Classroom, okay? So don't look at this class code over on the left and try to join it or anything like that, because nothing else is gonna happen with this Google Classroom. All of my students should already or have already joined the appropriate Google Classrooms. And in the email from me, I included the correct class code if you would like to join our Google Classroom as well. Secondly, I have the same structure and setup for all of my Google Classrooms, whether it's for French 1, French 3, French 4, French 2, whatever it is. So even though this says French 2 honors here, it's the same structure. It's going to look the same for all of my classes. All right, so starting out here, when students come on to my Google Classroom, this is the stream that they will see, okay? But the most important place for them to go, I always tell them, is the Classwork tab, all right? And if I click on the Classwork tab, it is going to bring us to a page that looks like this. And the first thing that we have here is les devoirs, Q3, right? So this would be, imagine we're in the third quarter, les devoirs, that is homework, okay? And so there's a list here of all the homework assignments. I post them the day that they are assigned, no later than the end of the day, all right? And I also post them with instructions as to how to complete that assignment, right? So if I click on this one right here, this is a Kahoot, right? And it tells you click on the link below to play the Kahoot, to practice this writing and comprehension of irregular past participles in the passé composé past tense. It asks you to enter both first and last names when you play. And then it tells you about the question types here. It also then tells you to earn full credit, you must play the Kahoot as many times as needed until you earn a score of 80% or better. Keep track on your own sheet of paper of how many questions you answer correctly. And then if you need to play the Kahoot more than once, type in your first and last name, followed by a number, et cetera, right? So not all of my homework is online, but a lot of it is. If there is something where it's like a worksheet, for instance, this one, I will have it linked right here. And it gives you some instructions, like if you have lost your worksheet, you can print off this PDF or write your answers on your own sheet of paper. And if I click and open the PDF, here it is with the worksheet after it. Okay, so that is where students can come and find their homework. These assignments never disappear after it's posted. It's there, okay? So I tell students it's a good idea to get in the habit of checking Google Classroom, at least for my class, on a daily basis. Pick a same time every day. Maybe it's during your study hall, or maybe it's during lunch, maybe it's at the end of the day, maybe it's right after dinner in the evening. But pick a time, make it the same time, and get in that habit of checking it. Now, another thing, the next thing that we come down to here on Google Classroom, if we scroll down, is this. It says online work, late submit form. So a lot of my homework assignments, not all, but a lot, are online, such as Quizlet activities, Kahoots, GimKits, Edpuzzles, so on and so forth. Now, the unfortunate thing about these websites is that they do not send me notifications to let me know when someone else has just completed the Kahoots, for instance. Right. And I also like to tell my students, believe it or not, I don't like to spend my spare time checking dozens of Kahoots and Quizlets, every minute of every day to see when someone has checked one. So I tell them, come on here and you click on this and it'll bring you to this Google form. It's very easy. And I tell students, this is kind of your digital way of handing in this assignment, right? Okay. Like for instance, if you were absent and there was a worksheet, you would still have to complete that worksheet and turn it back in, right? To physically give it to the teacher in order to get credit for that. So this is kind of the digital version of doing that. All right. So this form is super easy. It automatically collects their email address, so I know who it is. They choose which class they're in, and then the name or title of the assignment, which is right here on Google Classroom. For instance, Kahoot, Passé Composé, right? Okay, that. So they would type that in there. Original due date of the assignment, which is also right there on the Google Classroom entry for that homework. Submitting assignment late, and then they choose one of these because I was absent, because I completed it one day late for 75% credit, or because I completed it 2 days late for 50% credit. Okay, so they choose one of those. And then this last section here, comments or anything else that they need to tell me about the assignment. Every now and then we'll have something happen where, I don't know, perhaps maybe there was like a problem with, I don't know, the internet in the school building or something like that. And I don't know, and a student couldn't get the assignment done due to that. Oftentimes, if they talk to me about it, I will tell them, okay, that's fine. You can still do it for full credit. Fill out the online submit work late form, and then type that into the comments to remind me of that, right? So that is how students can submit their online work, online assignments to me if they're turning them in late after the original due date. All right, so coming back then to our Google Classroom, the next thing that you're going to see if you scroll down on this page is this section called On Class, which means, of course, in class. And this is super important because this is the section where if you are absent, you need to go to find out what you need to make up. Okay, so students don't need to email me, or they don't even necessarily need to come and see me if they've been absent, unless it specifically tells them to. But what they do need to do is click on the day they were absent. And you'll notice here, it gives a step-by-step instructions as to what they need to make up. Okay. Now, I know this one, I actually just created this one as an example, and I put a lot of things on here. So this does look really lengthy. This is probably more lengthy than a normal day, but I just wanted to put an example of like different things that we do, right? Or different things that students might need to do, right? So for instance, I always have this at the top. Anything in bold requires action from you as the student. Anything which is underlined also requires action from you because it is work which must be made up for points in progress book, right? So en classe mercredi le 3 juin, so in class on Wednesday, June 3rd, we, and then it tells exactly what we did. We did a short reading activity in partners to practice the imparfait past tense. And then in bold, action by the student. In order to make up for this missed in-class activity, click on the PDF entitled FR2H Petit Garçon Triste 2 and follow the instructions on the PDF, right? So I would come here, down here are all the links or PDFs. Click on that. And right here, it gives you instructions, tells you what to do. Read the following true story, which is in a new past tense called imparfait. On your own piece of paper, write down the meanings of all the verbs in this story, which are conjugated in the imparfait tense. If you need to, refer back to the story in the present tense on the other PDF to help you with verb meanings. Lastly, scroll to the last pages of this PDF to check your answers. So that whole activity is right there for students to do. All right, coming back then, The next thing to make up, it says, we took a mini quiz over imparfait tense endings. See or email Madame on or before your next day back to class to schedule your makeup quiz. Okay, this is really important that students, this is another reason why it's really important that students check this on class section right away when they've been absent, because sometimes we might take like a big test, for instance. Maybe we take a big test on Tuesday. The rule in my class is that you have the amount of days that you were absent plus one in order to make up quizzes or tests. So if Susie was absent on Tuesday, that means that she comes back to school Wednesday. Okay, so ideally she would see this by Wednesday, and then she would have Thursday and Friday to get that quiz made up or that test made up. But let's imagine Susie forgets, oh no, to check on class, or maybe she just asks a friend, hey, what did we do in French class yesterday? And even though the friend is like super nice and willing to help out, maybe they forgot about the test or the mini quiz or whatever, right? So either way, if Susie doesn't get that made up on time, it stays as a 0 in progress book. So I always tell students, make sure that you're on it, even if right away you don't have time to do everything. Make sure that you're at least checking, okay, what's the really important stuff? Like, for instance, was there a quiz I need to schedule, or so on and so forth. And really, I'm pretty flexible about this kind of stuff if the student is making the effort, right? It is their responsibility to check this. And then if need be, like with this little mini quiz, to reach out to me to get that scheduled. And yeah, if they're doing that, I'm really actually pretty flexible about, when they can make it up if they're taking the action to get that done. All right. Next on here, played a game in class to review colors vocab. This is just kind of something I threw in made up here. It tells you, in order to make up for this missed in-class activity, click on the Quizlet link below, go through the flashcards. It tells them how to go through the flashcards. Look at the picture, say the word aloud in French, flip the flashcard to check yourself. Do that 2 to 3 times, right? Okay, and here's the link right here to those color flashcards. Number 4, we did a worksheet in small groups to practice verbs in the imparfait past tense. In order to make up for this missed in-class activity, click on the PDF entitled FR8 de H Imparfait Worksheet. And then it tells them you can either print off this worksheet and complete it, or B, just look at the PDF online and write your answers on your own sheet of paper. And then it tells them turn in this worksheet to Madame on your next day back to class so that she can check it, right? All right, last but not least, if there was a homework assignment, it will tell them that right here, oh, Kahoot and Parfait. And it will also tell them, see full assignment details in the Les Devoirs section of Google Classroom that we already looked at before. And it'll give them a little reminder, hey, don't forget to fill out the submit online work late form as soon as you finish this assignment, right? So those are the 3 most important things on my Google Classroom, just to kind of give you an idea. I also have some other sections here like les annonces, announcements, les ressources, resources, les infos de la classe, class information, things like that. But these 3 right up here at the top, les devoirs, online work, the late submit form, and en classe, those are the most important ones. And if you have any questions about my Google Classroom, please feel free to reach out and ask. Merci.